Welcome to another prospect interview here at No Ceilings. I am Maxwell Baumbach, and I am joined today by another participant in the Portsmouth Invitational coming up this week. He is a big man out of University of Alabama, Birmingham. He is none other than Trey Jemison. Trey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Thank you for having me on.
Yeah, no problem. We're glad to have you. You just wrapped up a great season. You were one of the all conference selections for Conference USA, two-time Conference USA all defensive team. Really, really fun player. If you haven't gotten to see him or you didn't check out a lot of UAB this year, very good defender, very good rebounder, very good play finisher. So we're going to kind of get into all that, the nitty gritty of your game and all that here in a bit. But I like to just start with the absolute basics at the very beginning. What kind of got you into basketball growing up? I mean, being 7 feet tall, is it one of those things where it's kind of pushed on you? Or like, was there a moment where you're like, you know what, I love basketball?
My mom used to play with me in the driveway growing up, and
Mm-hmm.
playing with her in the driveway was kind of that thing like, hey, I love doing this each and every day, and just doing that growing up. And
Mm-hmm.
the height came later, you know what I'm saying? The height
Yeah,
came
yeah.
in school, but in elementary school, I played with my mom in the driveway after work, and it was just so fun. I
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed it and just fell in love with the game throughout that.
Did she play at all?
No, she did not. She played a little
Really?
bit of
Okay.
Auburn. She played some intramurals at Auburn. That's about it.
Okay. That's pretty crazy because I feel like now, like so many people you talk to, and it's like, oh yeah, my dad was a pro, my mom was a pro, whatever. Like, it's nice to see these future pros coming up. That hey, your parents don't have to be pros. Gives me
Right.
hope for my kids that
Yeah,
they still got a shot. So,
yeah.
yes, that's really cool. So you initially you kind of had a bit of a different career. It's like a lot of guys now we're starting to see it more and more. Start at one college, end up in another. So
Yeah.
you played your first 2 years at Clemson,
Mhm.
but coming out of like high school and things like that, what was your recruitment like? Like, what was kind of the feel toward you coming out of high school? Were you like a common high major target, or what kind of schools were looking at you then?
Yeah, so leaving high school, man, I think I might have been all of 6'9",
Oh, really? Okay.
and you know what I'm saying, soaking wet. And I had a major knee injury
Okay.
December of my senior year, man. So I kind of lost a lot of offers. Clemson stuck around, Georgia Tech stuck around, Harvard stuck around, and just liking Coach Brownell and what he had for me and his team, I ended up going to Clemson, man. It was a great opportunity for me to grow
Hmm.
up and mature, man. So it was different, man. High school recruitment I wasn't a 5-star. I believe I might have been a 4. It's
Hmm.
been 5 years now, but
Yeah.
yeah. But high school recruitment was a journey, but it was fun.
Hmm. Well, and it's interesting that you mentioned, so like people that again like might not be familiar with your game. You mentioned like being 6'9", being skinny.
Yeah,
It's hard to imagine because now you're 7 feet tall. You're 260 pounds is
yeah.
what you're listed at here that I've got. So, when did you kind of grow into your body? Because it's a common story. I feel like I talked to Jake Stevens a little while ago, and that was
Yeah.
something he mentioned, like similar thing for him. When did you finish growing, and when did you start to fill out physically?
So when I had knee surgery of 2018, I
Hmm.
didn't do any cardio. I just sat on my butt. I had crutches, man, and I was just lifting weights and eating.
Hmm.
When you go to college, school like Clemson, you're getting 4 meals a day, man. So I was
Hmm.
I was eating good up there, man. And I remember, I think I went home for Christmas. My mom saw me for the first time, and I was
Mhm.
285 at this point.
Yeah.
Who was this kid? And I was like, man, I just been eating and working out. But throughout
Mhm.
that time, my freshman year of college, I kind of grew a little bit more, put a whole lot of weight on, man, just got to grow into my body.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So during those first 2 seasons at Clemson, you didn't see the floor a ton. Like you were getting kind of minutes here and there. You appeared at 30 games your sophomore year. So it's one of those things where like you were getting on the floor, but you didn't really break out until it was your junior season at UAB.
Yeah.
Where like all of a sudden it's like, whoa, this guy came out of nowhere. He's blocking over 2 shots per game.
Yeah.
Um, what kind of clicked for you when you transferred over to UAB?
I think my kind of UAB, I got fully healthy. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
So freshman year of Clemson, I should have redshirted. I kind of encouraged coach to let me play, which is a young mistake I made. But
Hmm.
so I was never fully healthy. I had 2 concussions my sophomore year, so I was also out for that. Kind of
Hmm.
just never in rhythm. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's kind of just on a health basis, man. And coming to UAB, I took time, I matured to say, hey, my health is very important. And just
Hmm.
getting my health right and getting healthy and just getting in the gym more. 'Cause when you're hurt, you can work out consistently.
Yeah.
That slows your game down. So coming to UAB, I was able to get healthy, man, and stay healthy and stay in the gym and just my rhythm came back, my timing came back, and it just all worked out.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so you mentioned rhythm and timing, and I feel like that's like one of the first things I really kind of want to dive into here
Yeah.
is your timing and awareness on the defensive end.
Hmm.
So obviously, like I feel like scouting big men can be kind of tough if you're not like in the weeds.
Yeah.
Just like from my side as an evaluator, like there are so many big men where like you see it's like, all right, they have good rebounding stats, they block shots, and they score a good amount of points or whatever. And like they kind of all sound the same. Like if you're
Yeah.
just sort of paying attention, it's like, oh yeah, he dunks, he blocks shots, whatever. But one thing I think you do really well is you have very good anticipation on the
Hmm.
defensive end and you get into position really quickly because
Yeah.
as big as you are, you move well and you get off the floor really easily. Can you talk a little bit just about your like growth as a defender and just how you've evolved on that side of the floor over time?
Well, it took a long time, man. So with those 2 years at Clemson, I wasn't getting as much burn on the court. So I
Mm-hmm.
didn't have many game reps, you know what I'm saying? Practice is great, you know what I'm saying? Practice is amazing. But you need game reps, you know what I'm saying, to be an elite level basketball player. And at UAB, I was able to get those game reps.
Mm-hmm.
So as time went on, I was able to, hey, get in the rhythm and learn, hey, move your feet a little better, you know what I'm saying? Plant your
Mm-hmm.
foot, time the block shot the right way. And just throughout the course of the years, it came along and I've gotten great at it. But
Mm-hmm.
I believe, to be honest, man, it's one of the things like if you're not playing the game consistently, you can lose that. You know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
believe even the
Mm-hmm.
best of us, you know what I'm saying? Like, hey, you see guys get hurt, be out 9 months. It's like, all right, give him a few games, and he'll be okay.
Mm-hmm.
I need that time to get right and get on my time. And once I got that, bro, it skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I mean, two all defense team selections. You blocked 2.7 shots per game this year. You had a 3.2 season in there, a 2.5 season in there on blocks. So really a big strength for you. I talk about it all the time, but I keep like a running log of players that have made it in the NBA and that stick around. Like your block rate is one of those things where it's like a really good indicator for you as
Yeah.
far as like how many shots you're blocking. But something else that I think is interesting too is the number of steals that you get actually grades out pretty well too.
Hmm.
And you can kind of hold your own out on the perimeter. So
Yeah.
you're not like just a big guy that's going to be confined to playing in drop coverage, when a team sets a screen. So can you talk a little bit about just like your versatility defensively and kind of the different ball scheme coverages and things like that you're going to be able to play?
Yeah, so playing for Andy Kennedy, man, is a challenge, man. To be honest, Andy Kennedy changes defenses so quick. I mean, we'll go from 13, we'll go from 1-3-1 to
Mm-hmm.
2-3 to man, all in one possession. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So doing that for 3 years, I've adapted to, hey, I have to guard everybody. So I can't just guard the 6'10" kid down in the paint. I gotta be able to guard the guards. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Throughout the summer, playing with my teammates and pick up and playing with guys, I practice on, hey, moving your feet, man. Just not being able to sit there and just being stuck in mud, just moving my feet and switching on ball screens. Because if I sit in drop coverage all day, you know what I'm saying? Guys are great shooters now. They shoot
Yeah.
great all day, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Coaches can't play you like that. So
Mm-hmm.
once I kind of grew into my body and I wear size 17, learned that, hey, these are a part of me now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man, I was able to, hey, adjust and move my feet a whole lot better.
And like so you mentioned like practicing with your teammates and the help that gave you, and it's interesting because you played with two of the most dynamic guards in the country. You played
Yeah,
with Jelly Walker, who's a guy who's very good at generating space and sidestepping and stepping back and taking threes from such deep range that you really have to come out on him. And then also a guy like Eric Gaines who just has like ridiculous blow by speed.
yeah,
How much did practicing with them, because I feel like a lot of times people talk about like, oh, they played with these guards. People just think about it on the offensive end of the floor,
yeah.
but practicing against them on the other end of the floor, how did that kind of help your development?
It was huge, man. I mean, personally, I'm definitely biased, but Jelly and Eric are two of the best guards in the country. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And Jelly at one time was leading the nation in scoring, and having to go against that, you know what I'm saying? Having to make sure, hey, you can't drop back on Jelly and ball screen coverage. You're gonna shoot that three
Oh no.
from 40 feet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
So being able to hard hedge and switch out and move consistently day in and day out, I got used to it. So I got to a different guard and different games. It was like it's easy now because I'm
Yeah.
the best.
Yeah, those are just two guys that like epitomize what you talked about, where it's like the guards that are fast, the guards that can shoot,
Facts.
and you kind of have the luxury of getting to practice against those guys.
Yeah.
Another thing I think you do really well is play on the offensive glass.
Mhm.
You've averaged like over 2.5 offensive rebounds a game each
Yeah.
of the last 3 seasons. Can you just talk about what you bring as far as like your mentality on the offensive glass and how you try to play the offensive boards just to keep those extra possessions alive for your team?
Yeah, well, 9 times out of 10, man, I'm usually setting the ball screen, you know what I'm saying, up on the 3-point line or out. away from the rim, and I track the ball as soon as it leaves my guard hands. So
Hmm.
it goes in the air. If the guys that hitting me, I'm getting to that rim.
Yeah, yeah.
It was crazy. A lot of times, like I wouldn't even grab the ball. I would make sure that I would tip it to my teammates. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because it's just quicker that way. If I come
Yeah.
down, go make a move, it takes time. But if I catch it in midair and throw it to my team at 3-point line, we're going. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So just that's a big part of us. You know what I'm saying? And so it hurts the other team so much. You didn't guard
Hmm.
for 20 seconds, and now they got offensive rebound. Now you just feel defeated.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and they say like statistically, that's the best time to take a three is off an offensive rebound.
Facts.
So even when you get guys that are grabbing it and come down and kicking it out, but in your case too, when you can just bat it out too, it's even
Yeah.
faster. It's harder for a defense to recover. They're left scrambling. They can't get in a position to contest.
Facts.
Something else like I kind of like about your game too is that you can still go on the block. Like a
Yeah.
lot of big guys, I don't say they don't have it, but like they'll get the mismatch and the ball will get thrown into a big man. And like
Yeah.
you can tell, like there's not really comfortable in the post, but like you've
Yeah.
got some moves, you've got some wiggle. Can you talk about like the benefits of still having a post game in today's game? Because I think a lot of guys just overlook it.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, man. I'm in my size. I'm just one of the bigger guys, usually always on the floor,
Mm-hmm.
and being able just to be solid and dominant down there and efficient down in the paint is just huge, man. Everybody shoots threes. I mean, we're
Yeah.
in a game now where everybody can get up a three, but when I'm down in that paint, you gotta come down there and guard me too.
Mm-hmm.
Being able to be dominant down there, and you can't switch off on me on ball screens. If I'm gonna roll down there, it's automatic 2 points. And
Mm-hmm.
having that type of mindset and that type of mobility in the paint is bad on the defense because they have to adjust. You know what I'm saying? A lot of teams like to switch 1 through 5. Well, you can't with us. Well, with me,
Mm-hmm.
because when I get down there, I'm gonna I'm gonna sit down there like a big wall and go finish.
Yeah.
Having
Yeah.
that is just huge nowadays. A lot of guys just do like the pick and pop, and I mean it's
Mm-hmm.
cool. You got to have that in your game, but you can't do the basics, man. You can't do the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it. And like you mentioned, like always being one of the bigger guys on the court.
Yeah,
Um, it's something that stands out to me quite a bit is I think something that like people in my space, like the media evaluators and things like that, people that don't have a lot of the high level experience, like whenever I talk to people that have played at the highest level and things like that, one thing they always mention is like the athleticism and physicality. Like it's the
yeah.
one thing that people on the outside tend to overlook more than anything. How much of an advantage does your strength and physicality give you on the court? Because I think
It's
it's one of those things that like it's just people miss it. People are so caught up in like the intricacies and the things they see on film, but it's hard to quantify it.
Yeah, it's a huge advantage, man. Huge advantage, man. I have a buddy from Middle Tennessee who told me it's just hard guarding me because even if I don't get the ball, I'm pushing on you, I'm banging on you. You know what I'm saying? For
Mm-hmm.
30 minutes of the game, and now you're just so sore. You know what I'm saying? You go into
Mm-hmm.
halftime, feel like, whoa, I'm not even playing football with this guy, and that's just
Yeah.
part of me. You know what I'm saying? Just being stronger and physical at every possession. 'Cause
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I might not touch the ball. You know what I'm saying? I might not even get offensive rebound, but you having to box me out. You having to guard me on that ball screen. I'm hitting you consistently. It's like, dang, it's rough.
Mm-hmm.
So pretty much giving that wear and tear, like, hey, this guy needs a sub now because he's just so tired.
Yeah.
And it's huge for me, man.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. So one thing I always like to ask everybody is, you're going through this process and everything like that, and it's usually an adjustment in terms of role. Like a lot of people that are going through this process are used to always being a star, always being a focal point.
Yeah.
What do you see your role being if an NBA team, picks you up immediately? You're playing on an NBA team. What do you see your role looking like?
To be honest, man, I think I'm different from other guys in that perspective. I think I'm gonna be the same. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
I come from a team where I wasn't the star.
Mm-hmm.
I was a main player for sure, but like
Yeah.
you said, I had two big time guards and Eric Gaines and Jelly Walker and the other great teammates around me. So I was never like just that dude.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to say I'm the best role player in college basketball because I'm
Mm-hmm.
gonna go set every screen. I'm gonna try to get every
Yeah.
rebound. I'm gonna talk on defense. I know the plays by heart. And just think same thing for NBA. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
If I go to the NBA team, I won't be the leading scorer. I know that right now.
Yeah.
If I do go, I'm gonna be a great rebounder, an even
Mm-hmm.
better screener. You know what I'm saying? Shot blocker, and just continue to be elite at those things, to be the best role player possible.
That's great. And I love that you touch on screening too, because that's another thing that like, I mean, I'm 6'5", so I'm not the same size you were. But when I played, that was the position I played in
Yeah,
high school, was being a big, and like it's sort of a lost art. Like you see so many guys, because like you mentioned, like a lot of pick and pop and things like that. A lot of guys are a little too content to slip, a little too content
yeah,
to just not make full contact on a screen. So what are you thinking as you go to set a screen for a player? Like, what kind of things are you taking into account? What's your mentality when you go
Well,
for a pick for
like
them?
you said, screening is an art, man. You have to know who you're screening for. You know what I'm saying? If I'm screening for Jelly Walker, I know everybody in the nation is going to try to go over Jelly Walker's screen.
Yeah.
The goal is to make complete contact and hit him dead in his space. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not illegal screen, but make sure that, hey, Jelly has enough time to get his shot off. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? If it's Eric Gaines, people have to go under him because he's not as good of a shooter as Jelly. So I
Mm-hmm.
said my screen is lower. And just knowing your teammates, know who you're screening for in that situation is huge, man. And what I've learned throughout playing 5 years of college basketball is if you set great screens, you'll get the ball, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I set a good screen on Jelly and they overhelp, I'm wide open in the paint. Now I'm
Mm-hmm.
dumping the ball with two hands behind my head, and it's like I'm a highlight now.
Yeah.
So the screening is huge, man. Just
Mm-hmm.
getting my teammates open, you know what I'm saying, and just getting them wide open in the paint just by screening and rolling hard is huge, man.
Do you think that is like it's interesting that you said that like the better screen you set, like the more likely you are to kind of get the ball in a good
Yeah.
position. But do you think that's why so many guys set bad screens? Is because they're worried about like, well, I got to go get the ball. So like I got to start to roll or I got to start to pop. Like, do you think that's part of it?
I think so, man. I was that way at one point. I was thinking like, hey, like
Okay.
you gotta get out of here so fast. It's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
It's actually the opposite. You want to
Yeah.
get there and make sure you make as much contact as possible. You know what I'm saying? To
Mm-hmm.
the point where the guard or whoever you're screening is stuck in his tracks. So you can get
Mm-hmm.
out of there. And then like now you have a 6 foot guard on you, you know what I'm saying? And he's trying to catch up behind you and you're in the rim and just but a lot of guys think, hey, if I do it fast, it's better, and it's not the case.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's spot on. And it's something that you notice too. Like the more people that I talk to in basketball, the more they stress the angle of the screen and just
Yeah,
like knowing where to set it, how to set it, and for who.
right.
And yeah, it's a phenomenal answer. And I think that younger players that are listening to this and things like that, like keep that in mind if you were setting screens. Like just know your personnel, like you said. As we're heading into the pre-draft process, what are the biggest things that you've been working on? Like, is there a focal point that you're saying, hey, I really want to get better at this, or are there areas that you're kind of excited to show off that you've been developing or anything like that?
Yeah, man. So what's crazy, we played our last game March 30th. We made
Yeah,
it.
you guys just ended.
Yeah, so I took like maybe 3 days off, man, and got right back to it. You know what I'm saying? Keep trying to keep my body healthy for Portsmouth and just really just staying sharp on things I've been doing well. You know what I'm saying? I didn't have much of a time to adjust, you know what I'm saying, and,
Yeah.
and broaden my game. But also I am still again a basketball player. I do want to show that hey, I have a good 15-footer. I can't handle the ball more than I have here, but just doing what I do best, man. You know what I'm saying? If I
Hmm.
go to Portsmouth and block shots, rebound, and run the floor where I feel like, hey, I'm gonna show people that hey, like, he's a good basketball player.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I really appreciate you taking the time. This has been a great interview, man. It's always good to get the insight on some of the nitty gritty things with big men because I think the big man positions just get so overgeneralized and people are just like, oh yeah, he dunks the block shot. So it's nice to get into the screening and into the rebounding and things
Yeah.
like that. So I really appreciate you taking the time to do that with us today. Where can people find you on social media and follow along with your journey?
Man, I'm on Instagram at tallT_23, man. My Twitter
Mhm.
got hacked a few years ago, so no Twitter.
Oh man.
Just
Mhm.
Instagram, man.
Great. Great. Sounds good. Well, we appreciate you taking the time. Make sure you're following Trey and his journey. And as always, we appreciate you guys tuning in on the No Ceilings NBA podcast feed and on the YouTube channel. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank
Take
you.
care.